What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So with the recent release of the Kizuna Clash against ZOROJURO, we can actually pick up the Super Evolution Skulls, and I went ahead and done that, and now we can go ahead and try and use him in content. Now, when I made my initial breakdown of this guy, I was pretty disappointed, honestly. I was kind of just expecting more abilities to be on this guy, and I do like the fact that there at least is an aspect of the tag functionality with this Super Evolution, which I guess could give us some really interesting characters as we move forward into the future. But honestly, I do think that ZOROJURO, he's essentially the same unit, just with bigger numbers, which is pretty upsetting, all things considered. Even if you have the investment in level limit break and all that kind of good stuff, the character just didn't really receive many crazy buffs. You do see here at the start of this content, we are taking the time to tank at least 50,000 damage from the opponent, just so that we can get Zoro's captain ability to fully get fully activated. However, after doing that, I realized that when I got to the stage with Virgo cuts my health by like 90% or whatever it is, so this was pretty redundant. We didn't have to do all this stalling mechanic right here. As for the team composition that we have, pretty interesting choices. I really wanted to go ahead and use Alba combination with this guy, because the new Alba that came out a couple months back, great captain ability, being able to resist bind and despair by 10 turns. He's a slasher and a driven captain. The new 6+ Zoro is also a slasher and a driven captain, and Zoro also has a utility component in his captain effect, being able to resist 10 turns of special bind. So this combo, being able to resist 10 turns of bind, despair, and special bind, it's pretty awesome. So I think that if you are opting to use Zoro in the future, Alba as a friend captain is a great combination, as they both are boosting the same classes, right? Previously, before the Super Evolution, Zoro was a mono Dex captain. He does still boost all other types, but he gives the predominant boost to Dex. So with the evolution, they have changed it so he boosts Dex, Slasher, and Driven, making him just easier to use overall. The super type ability of this character is also pretty interesting. In this content with the team that we have built, we actually don't get access to his super type, but the effect is actually pretty solid, being able to wave clear enemies, which is just nice for like treasure map fights and stuff like that. You know, the fact that he has the special bind removal captain, an easily activatable super type that can wave clear, he's going to be good in treasure maps. And then the additional effect that you get is you get 2.5 times color affinity to Dex, Slasher, Driven. So you can't really complain about that. Like, it's a pretty good super type. You can use it whenever you want. You can use it, for speed farming, or you can use it to actually give you solid damage output. And then the special ability of this guy, so they didn't really change a whole lot. He does still give you the ability of 2 turns of cooldown. He did that previously. He has the crewmate ability to resist special reverse, so you can use him in that regard to deal with special reverse mechanics, and then allows his own normal attacks to bypass enemy defensive effects for 1 turn. So you can stack all of your damage onto ZOROJURO and have him be your big damage dealer if the enemy has crazy defensive effects like damage nullification, barriers, damage threshold. ZOROJURO can get through it with his special ability activation, very similar to characters such as like Wanda and Carrot, where they have a special. When you use it, it allows them to bypass their defensive effects through their normal attacks. Very, very similar kind of structure. It also will go ahead and deal 150 times his attack and non-type damage to all enemies. So damage dealing special is also great. Gets access to great supports, characters such as the support rare recruit Koshiro to remove further defense up. You can remove resilience. It's a chain boost as well. It's like a really good support for this ZOROJURO. So damage dealing special is always a positive. And then the added effect that they've gone ahead and done with this character's super evolution and level limit break is that if you have 2 or more Land of Wano characters on your crew, and you already have an orb boost when you launch the special, it's going to give a 30% resistance down to Slasher and Driven for 1 turn. So while that is pretty good, you do still need to have an orb boost before you launch that special. So that's the only real downside that I feel, because it would have been nice to legitimately get both of these effects to activate simultaneously of his original orb boost, and also get that resistance down. I'm going to pull up the calculator real quick. So it's a 30% resistance down, meaning that if a character is both slasher and a driven class, they get almost a 1.7 times damage bonus with the enemies if you're inflicting the resistance down debuff against them. So that's actually pretty good damage output that you can just stack for free if you've already got an orb boost activated. And then we'll further say that if you don't have an orb boost, then you get ZOROJURO's orb boost instead, which is still pretty good, giving Dex, Slasher, and Driven characters 3.25 times Orb Boost, right? That's a pretty good ability to get. 3.25 is a major increase from what he had previously. If I remember correctly, I think it was a 2.5 times Orb Boost. I think it was maybe 2.75 if you had taken that 50,000 damage. So upping that all the way up to 3.25 is pretty substantial there. It then further says that if you have taken 50,000 or more damage when you launch ZOROJURO's special, it's going to inflict the enemies with 2 times increased damage taken that ignores immunity. So again, just massive damage coming in there, meaning that, you know, if you've already got an orb boost, you could potentially use his special, you'll get the resistance down, and you'll get that increased damage taken, just stacking all of this damage that he really didn't have previously, which is incredible. Meaning if you do run double ZOROJURO, you could get, you know, crazy combos going on there. I don't really know why you would run double ZOROJURO though, unless if you're running him in a treasure map fight, for example, with the wave clearing shenanigans as we mentioned earlier. Because of the way that he's kind of built with his hybrid, he works really well in a hybrid scenario because of this special bind removal captain, and partnering that with another piece of utility would be fantastic. Another character you could potentially partner him with that would work really well would be the Luffy versus Kaido character, specifically talking about Kaido, as with his captain ability, you can resist paralysis and special reverse so long as you have 4 or more driven characters. Kaido's special ability provides a substantial attack boost to driven characters. You can have then Zoro be an all booster for that team, and then Kaido also already gives you increased damage taken. So there's just really good combos between that, like Alba versus Kaido, ZOROJURO. Pretty good core here of Dex and driven characters. There's a lot of good Dex driven characters actually. You've obviously got the Super Pseudo Fest exclusive Big Mom, which can provide you with the potential of double stacking conditional boosts. You got the ignited effect happening with her as well. The only real issue that I find with ZOROJURO really is that the fact that we already get a lot of good Zoros, but albeit a lot of the good Zoros that have been coming out over the last couple of years have been free spirit focused, so it is nice that we are pivoting back to a more driven focused ZOROJURO. I do like that, and the fact that he is not really going to be that useful in Rumble. Of course, this is not a Pipe Rumble video, but I just thought I'd mention it, that Dex is already a very good team already in Rumble, and I just don't feel like he's going to have a place on a Dex Rumble team right now, unless if you lack the high-level characters that you would normally see on the Dex Rumble team that people are using right now. But, you know, if you've already got characters like, you know, 10th Anniversary Ace versus Kaido, even V1 Blackbeard, I would say, is a better usefulness than this guy. You got characters like Avalo Pizarro that you would want to run. You got Dalton, you got Pell. All these key characters that you would rather use over ZOROJURO, and the plus that Zoro is a 55 cost character in Rumble really hurts him as well, because there are a lot of good 20 cost characters in Rumble these days. But anyways, just thought I'd give you guys a quick video in regards to the super evolution of Zoro. He's a fine character. He's not going to be shifting the meta in any sense though, but hopefully you enjoyed this video today, and if you did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.